All right, welcome to BS with Brian, episode 2. I'm Brian Mazzanti, co-founder of KCBK Group. We're a family-owned marine sales agency built to serve boat club and rental operators. And this is the podcast where we sit down with real people doing real things in the marine industry. Boat rental owners, boat club operators, boat tours, and the service providers and vendors who support them. Our goal is simple: find out what's working, what's not, and pull something useful out for whoever's listening. And so today's guest, I'm super excited about. We got Kevin Walsh of Boat Fix, and I've known Kevin now for only a couple years, but it's been a good couple years. And if there's a friendlier and more liked person in the industry, I don't know who that would be. So
You.
that's well, I don't know. We'll fight for the title. I'm in good company in that case, man. But yeah, man, Kevin, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Brian, thank you for having us. I knew the minute that I met you and I met your dad at that boat show that we were at. I don't want to name names unless it's okay. I just knew that there was a synergy here. So what you guys do, bringing new boats to boat clubs at a steep discount, providing them trailers and financing and potential rental software. You really are bringing the industry together. So it's really a great thing. And that's exactly what we want to do on the telematics side with our strategic partners like you and some insurance companies. Is just bring it all together and just make it a little bit affordable for the boat operator, boat rental operator.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that. We talk a lot about how we're creating this little like consortium or cabal or something that to support all the rental operators and boat clubs out there. But we'll get into that. If you would though, why don't you introduce yourself for people who don't know you?
Sure.
You can do a little bit of personal, a little bit of work. You can do a little bit more about Boat Fix. Wherever you want to take it is all good.
Okay. Well, my name is Kevin Walsh. I am the Director of Business Development here at Boat Fix. I have been lucky enough to have been here for about 6 years now. Boat Fix has been in business for 11 years, but it took us about 4 or 5 years to really get a product out into the field. But it was great. It's been a fun ride. We started with 90 boats when I was here. Now we have over 10,000. Majority of those are in the fleet management side with the boat clubs, boat rentals, charter business down in the Caribbean. It's really been a fun ride. I have a very different background than probably most of the people that you're going to talk to. I spent 25 years on Wall Street. I was a broker on the New York Stock Exchange and the American Stock Exchange before that. My knowledge of boating was going out on a sailfish when I was 10 years old. I mean, a sunfish, a little sailboat, when I was 10 years old. So, but listen, the marine life is always, who doesn't like living by the water and being on a boat? So my neighbor was the founder of Boat Fix, and he was actually looking for somebody to come in and help run the business. I had just been let go from the New York Stock Exchange, so I said, sure, why not? I'll give it a try. Well, 6 years later, it's been a really fun ride. I mean, to watch it grow and to deal with all the wonderful people in this industry, it's been really just a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I know you told me about your work history once, but I forgot if I ever asked you this. Were you of the era where you're like on the floor, like everybody's shouting, or was it more? Okay, you were doing that. Like,
so when I started the American Stock Exchange, which I guess you can kind of think of as the minor leagues of stock exchanges. It's like AAA for baseball. So we traded options and ETFs, and there are some equities that trade there, but not the companies that you think of when you think of the New York Stock Exchange. But yeah, total open outcry system. You go in, you ask for a market, you have 15 different people screaming bids and offers at you, and as a broker, my job was to get the best price at that particular moment in time. But I was telling the guys on another podcast that I remember being in the NASDAQ 100 crowd, and Alan Greenspan, the Fed chair, had a surprise rate cut. And the market just went absolutely bananas. It was not expected. It wasn't factored in, to the point where I was trading and my feet were no longer on the floor because I had been wedged up between people. So I'm sitting here writing, and my feet, I felt like a little 3-year-old sitting on the toilet where my feet were dangling off the side. It was just crazy times. But you know what? it taught me how to handle stress, number one. It taught me how to multitask. It taught me how to deal with different people in different walks of life who were having different situations happen. So it's just made me a better person because I actually, it made my people skills even stronger, which is translated very well with BoatFix.
Yeah, I've never heard you yell at anybody to this day.
No,
So
I don't.
you got that out of your
I don't
system.
yell. If I yell, first of all, my face gets about as red as my visor. It's not a pretty scene. The Irish gets up. No, listen. Life is too short. It's and you never know what someone's going through at that moment in time. If they're, they said something nasty to you, you have no idea what just happened with them. So just deal with it and move on.
Yeah, man.
Brush it off. Yeah,
that's a super interesting history. But I think what's interesting is like it's not all. Well, I don't want to belittle it at all, but like it's interesting to me. There's a lot of people that come into this industry from like completely unrelated industries. They have a whole life before they get either into boats for the first time, like it's a new love, or like me, I'm falling back into like the quote unquote family business, right? My dad's always been in the boat industry,
right,
and I kind of went a different way. But it's really interesting to speak to people who are like, oh yeah, like yourself, worked on Wall Street, or I went and did this other thing, in medical for 20 years, and like now here I am doing something in the boat industry. It's cliche, right? But like the love of the water and love of boats like pulls us all back.
And the people are, for the most part, are genuine, which you don't always get on Wall Street. Mm-hmm. And I also like the dress code that we have in the marine business, so that I'm no longer in a suit and tie. Right? I'm no longer schlepping on the train an hour and a half to Manhattan from Fairfield, Connecticut, and an hour and a half back home.
Yeah.
No, it's been great. I do travel a lot for BoatFix. We're always happy to go support our clients, whether it's a dealer meeting or a boat show or a boat club show or whatever the case is. But again, I get to go, usually in January I'm in Florida. So again, it all works out very well, but it's really been, this is a great industry. And, we get to meet people like you and your dad and Kelly and plus all the other hundreds of people that we've met and have agreed to do some business with. It's just been a lot of fun.
Oh man. Preach, brother. I love
right. it. and Brian, as a dad, right? How nice is it to be able to spend time with your kids? Where at Wall Street, I mean, it was, I was gone 13, 14 hours a day with the train and things like that. And I missed a lot. And so being here, my kids are now in college and just about to graduate high school. But I really got to see a lot of the really cool stuff in the last 6 years, which is I would have missed had I been in any other industry. So I'm very grateful for BoatFix for giving me that back.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I've worked from home for a while, before I've been doing this. But what I will say is the difference is I think for whatever reason, and I think it just might be like the love of boating or something, but the marine industry has the most family businesses that I've ever seen in my career. I mean, I'm not.
It's true.
I haven't been around that long, but it's just I've been some places and there's so many family businesses, whether it's marinas or dealerships or boat manufacturers or whatever. And I think just that like general just that general fact in my opinion maybe like pervades the entire indry. And like
I have to agree.
Yeah,
but it's like a tangible thing that a father can pass along to the son or daughter, or whatever the case is. My father's a doctor. There is no business my father was going to hand to me unless I went to medical school for years, which wasn't going to happen. So, but here's an industry where you could take your kids to work with you, and they can learn it. They can learn about business and learn how to treat people and how to handle people. Yeah. And when problems come up, how do you handle them? But it's a business that absolutely can be passed down from gen. And there's probably not too many that you could say that. Maybe a retail store, you could say you could pass that down to your kids or something like that. But you're right. I think the water sport operators they really have that luck that they could do that.
Yeah. Well, and also it's like, okay, we're gonna work and we're gonna teach you how to, the family business, and then on the weekend or during the week, whenever it's slow, we're going to go enjoy the family business. Right. We're going to go out on those boats that we work so hard for. So, yeah, man, that's how I grew up, and that's how a lot of us grew up. I think it's awesome. I want to get to what you guys are doing at BoatFix. I don't know. There's probably a lot of ways to enter this conversation, but I'm going to do it like this because one of the main reasons I was so excited to have this conversation, and I think just because like why we've stayed in touch is our sort of internal company mantra, and I think it's the same for you guys, is that we like genuinely want to help our customers, right? We have a intrinsic interest in
Yes.
doing right by the folks that buy boats and trailers and everything else from us, and I know it's the same for you. And I just think it's nice not only to like have that attitude, but when you're actually selling a thing like where the product actually helps also, like it's a helpful thing. It's not just like, oh yeah, here's a widget that like you can kind of live without, but I'm going to convince you to buy it. Like BoatFix, and Telematics, like it's a legitimately helpful product in the industry.
Yes.
So I mean, I would love, we're talking specifically, my world anyway is specifically with like boat clubs and boat rental operators, tour operators, that type of thing. But I know that BoatFix is much broader than that too. You equip BoatFix on boats that aren't destined for commercial use.
Correct.
So you want to maybe just kind of like get into, I don't know, like a broad overview of like what is BoatFix, why would somebody want BoatFix, and we'll kind of go from there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So BoatFix, we are a telematics company. A telematics company is a collector of data. We use a black box on the boat, obviously for visibility, so the client can see their boat, they can see their battery levels, they can see any geofence breaches or whatever the case is. Or in the case of one of our clients about 3 weeks ago, when they looked out their back window and they saw their boat was gone. Our tracking, we recovered the boat and we broke up a chop shop. So there's different levels and different use for our different clientele. Obviously, our fleet management is probably going to use us the most, just because their boats are being used all the time. Our boat building clients or our B2C clients, those boats are being used a few times a month because people work, people have lives.
Sure.
But we're more than just tracking. We're more than just an alarm monitoring company. We don't just throw a box and an app at you. We really take the tact of holding your hand so that you understand the platform, you understand how to use it. We have mechanics online that or on our at the you can call blah blah blah. You can call a mechanic at any time with the touch of a button right from the app. I'm sorry, I couldn't get that out of my mouth. And none of our competition has that. We are a 247 365 company. We answer every single call in person. You'll never get somebody in Pakistan or Bangladesh answering the call. Everybody that answers the call is going to try to help you. Now, just going back onto our mechanical line, we do have our clients call us up because it's a Sunday afternoon and their service center and their boat dealerships are closed and there's a problem with the boat. It's so wonderful to have someone pick up the phone and try to help you. Even if we're not successful at fixing the problem, which can happen, especially if it's a big electrical meltdown or something like that. Number one, we can dispatch a tow to you to get you in safely. If you're a client that comes with free towing, you get a free tow back in. But again, you just have that person that's there that's trying to help you, and you just have that peace of mind. Then we take the extra tact that we actually try to notify the client's service center or dealership. And we'll say, listen, on Monday morning, I was talking with Brian the other day. He was out on the water. He couldn't start his engine. Lanyard was fine. Fuel was on the boat. Whatever the cases were.
Yeah.
Here's what we think might be wrong. But again, he didn't have the tools, and we didn't want to, have him take the cowling off while he was on the water. And have that dealership call you on Monday afternoon and say, Brian, I heard you had a problem with the boat. Let's get you in for some service. I have an opening in 2 weeks from now. It really connects the dealership with the boat owner so it's just wonderful. For our fleet side, we can introduce you to reservation systems. We integrate with 3 or 4 right now, and there's certain levels of integration. Again, depends on the reservation platform, on how far they want it to go. We have great people like you that we partnered with that we can introduce them so that they can actually purchase boats at a cheaper rate than buying it from a dealership. Finance companies that, again, like a JBB or whatever the case may be that we met through you, that will help, secure financing for those boats. And then, the biggest stickler on the side probably right now is insurance, especially for the fleet side, because it's just gotten so ridiculously expensive. BoatFix has really taken the tact that we needed to be vetted and recognized by the insurance industry. And it took us about 4 years to do that. But we are now able to offer our clients to hand us, their policies. Let our underwriting partners take a look at that. And I can't use the word guarantee because of compliance reasons, but
sure.
We could pretty much say that you're going to get some sort of a discount of what you're paying, and the policy should be just as good as what you have now. It's not going to be anything worse. So like you and this is kind of, again, going back to when I met you and Kyle, and this is your dad's line, I like to put people together. I like to put people together who could do business together. And that's the same thing. So yes, listen, we have competition. They're all good. They all do geofencing and low batteries, and some do high water sensors, and some do the pads on the boat that someone's standing on it. All great, but there's no support, and there's nobody else trying to say, well, you're a boat operator, you're a boat rental operator, you must run into these problems. Well, if you do, I have a friend of mine over here who could probably provide a solution for you.
Sure.
And put them together, and it just. Seeing the smiles on their faces when that pain has finally gone away is music to my ears. It really just makes me happy. We love solving problems. And then going back to our B2C clients, when a client does call in that we don't have the answer to be honest, listen, I don't want to be disgusting, but I had a client call in and said, listen, I'm going out on my C Pro 259, which is now a 262. I have 6 women going to be in the boat with me, and I have no idea how to turn my macerator pump on. That's not something that BoatFix is going to know, but you know what? I called C-Pro. I called the factory, and at that time Jamie was still there. I got Jamie on the phone. I said, Jamie, I got a shitty situation here. How do I turn on my macerator pump on the 259? Under the sink, ball joint. You can't miss it. Done. Yeah. Problem solved. That guy was so happy. He wrote a letter to C-Pro, and it's awesome. To me, making a sale. Awesome. When I have a client come back and actually write a letter and go out of his way to give you some sort of kudos, to me, that's the best feeling in the world.
Oh man, it's so true. And I think it's always you can buy any product from any company, but it's always the people behind it. And I think that's what you were saying. It's the people, it's the support you get, it's the people behind the product, and if you actually care. People take notice, man. I think that gets missed. That's the number one thing just in general I think in life and in business, that just can separate you from 90% of the population super easy. Right. It's just care and do what you say you're going to do.
Exactly.
We've had some similar experiences where, whether it's C-Pro or some of our other partners we work with where, our phones are on 7 days a week, and their offices might be closed on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but the people we need to contact, they pick up their phone too, and it's man, right. Dude, those are the people that you want to be partnered with. They
100%.
Yeah, especially when we're talking about the rental and boat club world, right? I mean, that's the ecosystem that we really play in, and I know you guys are more broad than that, but I think that it's especially important with them because if they have a boat inoperable, they're losing money. Whereas, if a dealer receives a boat and maybe it's something needs to be fixed before it gets sold, right? They kind of have some time built in there. They're not under the gun as much. But not.
No, you're right.
Not everybody understands
water, they're not making money. Nope. Yep. 100%.
Yeah. So I think we're we're assembling this. I go back. I don't know what word we're gonna land on, Kevin. Cabal, consortium, something. But the group of us who all get it and are pointing people to each other, hey, oh, you need this, go talk to Kevin. Oh, you need this, go talk to Mary Taylor. Oh, you need this, go talk to this person. The group's gonna be bigger and bigger, and we're going to have this like group of people who like have a ton of resources for these operators.
Sure.
And man, I just think I think it's so cool. I would love to hear from you to just like tell maybe a couple stories about like the types of. I mean, I don't know. What would be interesting? Like what are the most common things you guys hear about, and then like maybe some of the most outlandish things, because I think I'm thinking about some of our mutual friends down in Destin, Florida, right? Like
Yep.
heavy sandbar culture, right? Like I can imagine you get calls, you're like, oh, help me. I was having too much fun and I didn't realize the tide went out. And now my boat is beached and I can't get it off. It's like, okay, well, we'll help you tow it off. Like, what are the things like that that are like
High tide will be back in 6 hours. Don't worry. Yeah.
Is your cooler full? Are you good? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's an unnecessary part of. I guess I don't know if it's a part of the boat rental, boat club, water sport operator business that you're going to have damaged boats. You're going to have your clientele do stupid things with them. I love the analogy because I watched this with my children. We'd go to a restaurant, the server would come and say, "Don't touch the plate. The plate's hot." The first thing my son would do is stick his finger on the hot plate. Sure. The first time you tell the boat renter not to go over that way, they're going straight over that way. So using our geofencing and things like that, you can. But we there was an incident. Oh gosh, this is almost when I first started. I'm going to say it was July of 2020 or 2021. And we had a boat in a club that left. It was down in the Key Biscayne Bay. Hit a sandbar doing about 30 knots. And the tracking you can see. I mean, you can see the sandbar on the satellite map. You can see the boat hit it, and you can see the boat list around doing 1 knot, 2 knots, 3 knots. He's just doing circles. He's obviously assessing the damage. Then you see him limp back to the marina at 3 knots, maybe total.
Yeah.
All he did was he put the keys back on the board and he walked away. He didn't tell anybody that he had damaged the boat. The next day, the reservation comes down for their boat. They go to use it. Great, the engine starts. They can't back out of the slip. They can't. They finally get pushed out of the slip. They can't go forward. The lower unit was destroyed. How they can't even figure out how he got back ahead. We don't know if he rode in or not. Yeah. So I got a call from the general manager of the club, and they said, "Can you help me out?" And I said, "Well, here you go." He's open throttle for 10 straight minutes, and then he hits something, and he limps around. She goes, "He hit the sandbar right there." Well, that club got that deductible back for their insurance claim. So yes, the boat was out of water, but at least it didn't cost them anything to repair the boat. And then they also had the pleasure of kicking that guy out of the club.
Sure.
See you later. Outlandish stories we had.
I mean, that's pretty outlandish. But,
yeah, this one's. Sometimes you just have to wonder what people are thinking. So this guy had a 30-foot something sailboat, and he was a client from one of our insurance partners that they mandated him have boat fix on it, and he liked to go offshore by himself. Well, it's hurricane season. And he's right off the coast of Virginia Beach. He is 200-something miles offshore by himself, and he loses his autopilot, and he loses all of his electronics. So he has no idea where he is, how he's going. So he pulled the EPIRB, and he set it off. So the Coast Guard comes flying out to get him. We have the video of this, by the way. The Coast Guard comes out to get him, and you see him on the boat, and you see the guys, the 2 helicopters are hovering, and for whatever reason, our client decides to jump into the water, in 15, 20-foot rolling waves. So he abandoned ship. So he jumps into the water. Now you have to see the frogmen jump out of the helicopter, and you see them go get him, and then you see them lift him up, and off they go. Well, one of the frogmen goes on the boat, and I couldn't understand why he went on the boat. The Coast Guard puts a second EPIRB on there. Okay. And that lasts for 48 hours. So you have a chance to go salvage your boat. So the guy comes in, the insurance company calls us the next day and says, "Do you have tracking on it?" I said, "He's 250 miles offshore. We don't. We lost cellular, 240 miles ago. We don't have a location for him. But I have a last ping, and the Coast Guard gave us the lat long of where they put the EPIRB on. They said, all right, can you call someone to go salvage the boat? So we did. We called Cito and a few others. The lowest quote we got was $750,000.
Oh my gosh!
So the
For a
insurance
boat that costs
company,
how much?
so the boat was valued at 300 grand. Your insurance company says total loss, you get nothing. So the guy lost everything because he jumped into the water. If the Coast Guard had pulled him off the boat, it's a different story. But he abandoned
really?
ship. Yeah.
Okay, so
Now I may not be 100% accurate on the rules of abandoned boats, but that's the story. And the insurance company, which has since gone under, they sent us the video. It's a granular video from the Coast Guard, and you can see. I mean, it's plain as day. Brian, I'll have to dig it up and share it with you on a personal note because it is pretty wild. But we have all kinds of stories like that, and there's the wonderful stories of the guys on the water. Oh, this is a great one. He's trying to get his boat back to a boat ramp, and his engine won't trim up. He can't get it. The button's not working. He can't figure out. Everything else on this boat's working. When I tell you, his wife was tearing into him something horrible. I mean, she was just berating. I felt so bad for the guy. And we tried high and low. I called my mechanic, and he's like, I don't know the boat. I don't know. Every boat has a little bit different here. He goes, but if the guy has a screwdriver, you can save the day. So I called him, do you have a screwdriver? He said, I do. I said, you just have to release the hydraulic, and with you and your kids, you're going to have to lift this engine up and tighten it. And to hear his wife go from berating him to going, oh my God, thank you so much, you saved the day. And off you go. It's like, that's when you kind of put your collar up a little bit and say, not only did I save the guy's boat, I probably saved his marriage as well.
Totally.
But some fun stuff.
Awkward drive home, but at least they got home.
Yeah, exactly.
You said what to me again?
That's right. And then Brian, with the stolen boat, and I was actually the person who answered the call.
Wow.
To hear his wife in the background screaming, "You guys are the best!" and just it was one. I mean, the guy had 12 hours on his boat, and it was stolen right out of his backyard.
Jeez.
And they drove it. It was right out. I don't know where, but the boat ended up a few miles from Oakland in this thing called the Devil's Slough. Yeah. And I saw the address. We sent the cops there, and there's the boat being dismantled, and it was a whole chop shop.
Sure.
And
wow.
They're still singing a praise. So this was a Bentley pontoon. Bentley's replenishing their boat because they have the insurance, and he's happy because he's going to have boat fix on his new boat, and off we go.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then for the people that we can't help, it stinks, but they get towed in, or we dispatch a tow, or we'll stay on the phone with them until, you or somebody who has a boat, who's a friend of his, can come out and get them. We just like to go that extra mile, because that's what you want, and that's what you expect, right? When you pay for a service, you want to be looked after, and when people are looked after, they come back to you.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple things that really stick out to me here from just as we talk about this over the years, and especially just from this conversation. But as a boat owner, if especially if you're not like a seasoned boater, right? There's a lot of fear that people don't talk about of going out in a sound or a river. But there's lots of stuff that can happen if you're not used to it, right? And I would guess that if you polled the audience, you guys might have this data, that having something like BoatFix installed is a real peace of mind for people. Yes. So that to me is a real selling point of BoatFix for the boat owner. For a boat club or boat rental business, the obvious one, right, is that it takes the awkwardness out of the hey, you owe me money for the propeller conversation, right? And we talk about this with some of our other mutual friends and partners in the software space, right, who integrate with BoatFix. And if a customer comes back and the propeller is all damaged, or like the lower unit is damaged, or the engine overheated and they kept running the boat, right? There's no back and forth guessing about what happened. Right. It's just like, hey, look, here's the map. You went out of the area. You ran over these rocks. Like, sorry, we told you, and here you go. I would guess that like it kind of diffuses a lot of those situations.
Absolutely. Even as simple as you're 15 minutes late. No, I wasn't. Yes, you were, because I have my marina geofenced, and here's when you came in, or here's where the boat came in. So a digital timestamp of when the boat left and when they come back has quelled so many arguments between the operator and the client. or the member or whatever the case is. And the other one is, I didn't use that much fuel. Yes, you did. And not only did you use fuel, but man, you were heavy on the throttle because I can see your average speed was 26 knots or something crazy like that.
Sure.
So yeah, it does help that, and it does give them that peace of mind. And again, knowing that we're there in their back pocket at any day, any time, to call us and help them figure out what incident happened. What's going on with this boat? Why doesn't my app work? How am I logging? Whatever the case is, it doesn't matter. Christmas Day, July 4th, 2 in the morning, 5 in the afternoon, your call is getting answered.
Yeah,
in seconds.
That's awesome, man. And again, I haven't looked maybe super hard, but I haven't seen or heard of a company that does that. So, I know you have to jump. Our time is limited, but this has been very, very fruitful. Kevin, we're going to put some contact information wherever we post this, but if you want to say any like final parting words to the audience, please, by all means, the stage is yours.
So if anybody ever wants to chat about what we do, please don't hesitate to call or email me. I am an open book. You can reach me at Kevin, Kevin, at boatfix.com. Again, if you just have questions about using telematics for your fleet, or if you have questions about maybe one of our competitors that you're using and can it do this, I'm happy. I'm not a high pressure guy. I just want to see the people out there, able to make money and able to keep going on in this business.
That's a perfect ending. I love it, man.
Brian, I love you guys. I appreciate you for having me on. I'm glad that I wasn't the first one because I guess you said there was some glitches there. So let's make the number 2 the number 1 podcast. But no, seriously, when I met you guys, I knew that we were going to be doing something together, and I couldn't be more thrilled. So I appreciate you, your dad, your sister, your mom, for just making this all happen.
Yeah, man, right back at you. We feel the same way. So, all right, well, that concludes this episode of BS with Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining.
I appreciate you.